Good morning. My name is Alexios, the Raptor Freak. Today, game for the Raptors. They're in the middle of their homestand, 7-game homestand, game number 3, and we have NBA champions coming to Toronto today. Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Milwaukee Bucks, and they played last night. They played against the Charlotte Hornets in Milwaukee, and they won at the end of the game by 2 points. It was like 127 to 125. Giannis won the game right at the end for the Bucks, and that's a high-scoring game. Seems like that was a really high-energy game. Lots of scoring, lots of people up and down the court, and hopefully we'll catch them on a tiredness because of it's the second day of a back-to-back, and they have to come here to Toronto and play tonight. So that is a factor that could help us tonight. There's a lot of things that are against us tonight for sure, because Milwaukee's a big team, and they have some injuries right now, which kind of help. Brook Lopez is out. He's always been Raptor killer, really annoying with his threes, and just kind of he seems to play really well against us when we play them. Semi Ojale is out for them. He's a pretty good player. And then DiVincenzo, that guy off the bench that's kind of a scrappy little guy, he's hurt also. So they've got 3 guys out. And like I said, this week they signed DeMarcus Cousins as their backup center, and the coaches described him as being in a good place mentally. That's what the coach said. We're excited to have him. He's in a good place mentally. I think that's hilarious. But he played last night. DeMarcus played his first game for the Bucks, and he did okay off the bench for them. He got some points and was integrated in. Yes, G has said the first thing here. Gary did practice yesterday with the team, so that bodes well for him to possibly be playing tonight. Hopefully, we really need him and OG and Kem tonight. But of course, Kem Birch and OG Anunoby have already been ruled out for today's game. So we won't see OG or Kem tonight, but there's still a chance that Gary will be playing tonight, and that would be fantastic. We honestly need Gary Trent. We really need him for our offense. And this is a low expectation kind of thing. Like, they're the champs. They're on an 8-game winning streak. We're on a 3-game losing streak. We're having a hard time. We're struggling. There's all kinds of different issues with our team right now, and they're kind of rolling. So, it doesn't bode well the game tonight, what's going to happen. But we can still, do a couple things that can really help us tonight. Like, I'd like to see us get out there and compete with them. Like, make it look like we belong in the same league with them. Because in some of these games recently, we haven't looked like we belong in the same league with teams. Like that Golden State game, we didn't look like it. Hey, good morning, Sue. Glad to see you this morning. So if we can compete hard with them and stick with them and play a close game today, even if we lose, I'll be very happy. Because I just want to see us compete at a level that can match the champion of this league right now. And that's going to be a tall order still, but we should be able to do that. We've done that consistently as a team for years. Even in the COVID year, we beat them twice, as I was reminded yesterday. And, they went on to become champions. So this is something somebody also said yesterday, we match up really well with them. And we do in some ways when we're healthy. But right now, I don't know if we match up really well with them, because we match up really well with them when OG's able to kind of try and shut down Giannis. And we don't have OG. That's going to be tough. And Giannis is rolling. He had 40 points last night. OG being out shows how important he is on both sides of the court. Yeah, he's so important. Keep our offense going. And just we've had him, that's their best player, OG. Shut him down. Clamps. Put him on. And that's kind of what he's done for us. He's done that consistently for us on the down low, and we take that for granted. We don't really realize it because he's not flashy about it. A lot of the stuff that he does is really important, isn't like very sung, isn't something that you're like, oh, wow, because he's doing it on the sly. He's doing it in the physicality of how he's guarding the guy or just how he's really stifling people and stuff. So, yeah, he's going to be missed tonight. And I think Kem will be missed too, also just from like battling for rebounds and things like that in this game tonight. I just don't want us to get routed. I want us to have a good competitive game and kind of keep up with them a little bit. And if we can steal this game and win this game tonight, that'd be fantastic. And I hope that Nick Nurse is framing it that way this morning, that he's saying, you guys get a great opportunity today to compete with the NBA world champions, the champions of the world right now with basketball. And if you want to make some sort of statement or feel good, this is the game to do it. Beat these guys, and it's almost like you've won a championship, a little mini championship in the middle of the season. And if we don't make the playoffs and we don't do anything good for the rest of the year, at least we beat Milwaukee, the champs. We can say that. So there's a lot of ways they can motivate the team today. And I'd like them to key on that, and also the whole home court thing, because really they should be embarrassed about the last game with Memphis. They should be embarrassed about the last game with Boston. And they should be like, we can't let this continue to happen on our home court. We need to really, really take this seriously about protecting our yard. We need to be that dog that just don't let nobody come in our yard. And if you do, you're getting your ankle bit. So, Sue, yes, let's compete. Even if we don't win a ton of games, but play well and develop, I would be happy. I think our goal this year is to improve and compete. And if we win, then that is great too. Yes. We just don't want to look like we're that bad. Like, we need to try and compete as well as we can with whoever it is, playing as hard as we can, developing the good reps, the good habits, the good everything, and not dogging it, not giving up, not rolling over, not being somebody who just says, well, what can we do? Let's give up. We don't ever want to be that team. Even if we get down like 30 points tonight, I want to see this team fight, no matter who's out there, which person, ever personnel, because Sue's exactly right. This is a year about development. And even if they don't always add up to a W with the effort and what we're doing, it's all building to something greater and bigger beyond that. And we need to really think that way, that we want to look good. We want to build off positive stuff. We want to have players make the right decisions and get fundamentally better and work well together. These are all different goals that we need to look at, not necessarily with the win. If we win tonight, man, that'd be fantastic. I'll be very happy if we win tonight. And it could happen. It could very well happen. We're this weird kind of team where it seems like we're completely down and out. And then all of a sudden we get like this huge win or this crazy like thing that happens with the team that nobody expected. So it could be tonight. And, there is a little bit of the temperature's right for it, with Milwaukee having played last night, have played a high scoring game, and they traveled and came here today. But also this year, it seems like teams that have played back-to-backs have done really well on the second day of the back-to-back. But here's another thing I want to talk about today real quick. There's a lot more injuries going on in the league right now. All of a sudden, I've heard that Bam Adebayo's out. LeBron has COVID right now. This year has been more and more a war of attrition. There's people are going to get hurt, and people are going to miss games, and they're going to hurt different teams at different times and things like that. So it really is, that kind of year. And for a team like us that's developing, we can't handle that, because we need to have all of our talent that keep up with a lot of these good teams. And we need to look at it that way. But there's a lot of teams that are having guys get knocked out. And, we got to see how these other teams react and how well they'll do to get on their quest to the playoffs too, also, because these kind of things can hurt teams really bad. Like, Bam Adebayo is an important player from Miami. LeBron, we know what LeBron is for the Lakers. So, injuries are going to have become more and more important factor in all kinds of things in the NBA this year, way more than we thought, especially for our team, because it's really, really decimated us and made it hard for us to win. Okay, let's see. G says, who do you think is guarding Giannis? I like that you said whom as a English writing graduate school, a degree in English. I like that you said whom, because this probably will be multiple people for sure. We're going to throw everybody at him as we can. It's like basically going to be kind of like key on Giannis, double him down if you're near him as much as you can. But I think primarily, it'd be interesting to see Scotty guard him. I think Scotty could guard him maybe fairly well, but it's going to have to be him or Pascal probably. Pascal could guard him also to a degree, but he's going to need a little bit of help also. So nobody can guard Giannis. It's going to be really like we got to throw a couple guys at him and see how well we can slow him down. It's sometimes really a lot better to seed the outside shot to Giannis than to let him go to the basket. So I could see us playing off of him and daring him to shoot. And he's got to make those shots outside if he wants to beat us. But we should try not to let him get down low and get to the basket, because that's where he's best, is when he's in motion, slashing to the basket and trying to make shots there. But we've had great success against Giannis. We know how to guard him in certain ways. Hopefully our personnel now will understand the lessons of the past and how we were able to have success against him. But it's going to be tough. Fred and Pascal really need to think about that series against Milwaukee. And I'm going to miss Norman today, because Norman was the guy who always seemed to have a big game against the Milwaukee Bucks, no matter what. He was somebody you could count on to come off the bench and just be a spark or just do something to help us beat them. He would get motivated for this game. So that sucks. Not having Norman and not having Kyle today is going to be something that really shows, I think, in some ways. Let's see. Butler and Bam are out. And Miami got destroyed by the Cavs. We were injured and still in games. We don't have the depth yet to sustain injuries to stars. That's true. That's true. We just don't have the depth, or we just don't have the talent developed to the point where we can say it's depth. Like, I want to say that these guys are good and they're getting going, but in some ways they're having trouble. Uta's really made a leap and bound from last year. This whole thing, his keyword is aggressive. Well, we need guys like Svi, Malachi, Delano, Chris Boucher to really be more consistent and aggressive also. There's a lot of issues with our bench guys right now that could help us if they could just be a little bit better. And also, I don't want these starters to have to feel like they have to do so much. So there's a lot of different issues. I just want to see some sort of synergy, some sort of collective between the players where they're playing off of each other, where they're getting easier baskets because of that, where they're really being aggressive to 50-50 balls and steals on defense and getting in transition. These kind of things will help us. And we definitely can't let Milwaukee get second chance points. That's been our Achilles heel in the last week or so. And second chance points can really hurt us tonight if Milwaukee's getting a lot of offensive rebounds and putbacks and stuff like that. So it's going to take a whole collective effort. And if we find some success early, and maybe Milwaukee's had some trouble, maybe we can do something. Because last night, Charlotte was leading the game against Milwaukee for a bit of it, for a good part of it. And they kept it close. And then in the second half, they were kind of back and forth. And then Milwaukee just won it right at the end of the game. So, and they had to score a lot. So that's one of the other concerns is the Raptors need to find scoring somehow, some way. And I don't think, once again, like they did against the Golden State Warriors or Utah, you can't have these long periods of stagnation with your offense. We need to make sure that we're making the basket get filled regularly, that there's always something happening. We can't have 3 or 4 offensive possessions where we come up empty. We need to get scores on every other possession at least, if not every possession. It'd be great if we could score on every offensive possession, but I don't totally expect that. But it'd be great if we could get every other offensive possession. That would be fantastic. All right, let's see. Alistair, good morning, Kenrick. Good to see you this morning, man. I believe the key trio was Kawhi, Pascal, and the center, Gasol. Pascal improves when the team has a legitimate center, and that with Gary and OG, it doesn't work. If it doesn't work, Pascal's out of excuses. Pascal did an interview this week with Josh Lewenberg. It just came out today. And I think that it will really open up people's eyes to what he actually is battling right now. He's not just battling his injury to come back. He's not just battling the fans' perception of him and all the ugliness online. He's battling himself. He has a low self-image right now, and he's having a hard time with his confidence in some ways. This is true. And when we're talking about confidence levels, different levels of confidence, you have a confidence, to get to the NBA, then the confidence to become a starter, then the confidence to become the man and being double teamed and get all this. It's all different levels of confidence and things you have to weather. And right now, Pascal's having a hard time with how he feels about himself. That even with all this energy and all these different things that people are saying and stuff like that, even though he doesn't have to hear it or anything like that, he takes it really hard on himself. For everything that we feel about him, he's feeling it himself naturally inside. He's down on himself right now in some ways. And it's sad because he's got to really, it's the kind of thing where he has to overcome that. And he's being really candid in that interview with Josh Lewenberg that he's got to give himself a break, that he can't be so hard on himself. Like, as hard as we all are being on him, he's being super hard on himself right now, like internally. This is what he said, and that he's not giving himself any breaks. He feels awful. He wants to be this person. He wants to be this man. He wants to be the guy that rises to the occasion, the guy that'll hit that open three in the last 5 minutes of the game and look really good to us. He really wants it. So when he fails and when he doesn't do things and we feel that disappointment in him, just imagine he feels it 10 times more inside. So it's kind of a mental health thing. It's kind of like a thing of like, we need to, I personally am going to stop bashing him or saying anything negative about him right now, because I see him trying and I'm rooting for him. And I know that his struggle inside internally in his head is something way more than anything we could say to him. And I'm glad that he probably is shielded from most of everything that all of us are saying, because it would just add to the problem, I'm sure. Because he is having a hard time. And it's really interesting that he's so candid about it with Josh Lewenberg. To me, it's like the DeMar DeRozan interview about his depression. It's like, here is somebody who, historically in sports, these guys are supposed to be emotionless and not show any kind of like humanistic side to them. And we're getting more into an age of where this like hyper machismo, hyper maleness is going out the window. And people can be more real. People can more themselves. They can be themselves. And I think that we need to realize that, Dylan Brooks is weird because he was hyper masculine and like hyper aggressive and stuff like that. And there's still a lot of that in sports. And so like, to me, it kind of smacks a little bit of like, these guys might be on roids, him and Bane, the way they're acting and stuff like that. But anyway, there's new male spirituality of like sensitivity and being open and not being a toxic masculinity, and stuff like that. And I applaud Pascal for being open about this and being honest about how hard he's being on himself inside and that struggle for him right now. I just want him to succeed. I just want him to be a badass. And I don't think he is the number one option, but I think that we should look at him as somebody who's really, really good and should be maybe somebody we keep around as a second option. I know because he's got max money, everything like that. There's different problems, but that was a really interesting thing to me that he has that interview with Lewenberg this week, and we need to maybe go watch it, and it'll give us a little bit more of an idea of what he's dealing with and stuff like that. Because Pascal, he hasn't had an easy life in some ways, and in some ways, he's had a lot of sadness in his life. And personally, our players, some of them have been through things, and we don't always take that into account. Like, Chris Boucher was a kid living homeless on the street, like, 10 years ago. So we need to really think about, where these guys come from. Like, Pascal's issues with his father's death and different things that have happened, All right, let's keep going. Pascal's been good for Barnes. Pascal, number one, Pascal being double teamed takes pressure off Barnes. Yeah. People highlighting Pascal's mistakes and take the focus off other players' mistakes. Pascal's the figurehead. They're going to point to him first. The cream, it hits him first. Everything hits him first. And Fred, too, to agree. But Pascal is really the figurehead, and it hits all the criticism and everything hits him first. He gets it first, and it's true. There's other guys that should be, like in the last game, I thought Pascal was solid. If nobody we shouldn't be pointing fingers to him. We should be pointing fingers at other guys and maybe how they played, or maybe even the management and the coach, like I said in the last game. But yeah, we need to think about the things that he does that are really good, and focus on those sometimes. It just may be that he's not a clutch guy and he's not somebody we can count on in that point of the game. It's just maybe somebody that carries us for most of the game and does a lot of good things. And then maybe he steps up and has a game-winning thing like he did against Phoenix a couple years ago when he won the game on a lay-in or something like that. We can give him a chance to win some games, but I don't want him to have all that pressure. Kenrick, Pascal usually goes to Rico's for summer workouts and improves from there. He hasn't been able to for 2 years, so he didn't improve like he wanted to. Yeah, I was thinking about the Rico Hines stuff in the last game. I was like, man, Pascal, man, where's your Rico Hines work? Where's your upgrade from the year? I mean, you always go to Rico Hines, and you're always the man there, and they always talk about how great you are and everything like that. I thought he went this year, honestly. I thought I saw him there sometimes this summer. So I don't know. I know he didn't go the year before, or maybe the year before that, but I think he did go this year. But he couldn't go. Obviously, he couldn't go all out because he was still recovering from his injury. But I think I saw pictures of him on Instagram at Rico Hines this summer. But it wasn't like he was playing full out like he would if he hadn't been hurt. So that's a good point, Kenrick, that a lot of his development and growth comes from Rico Hines and going there and working with those guys and working with top level stuff. And Earl Watson's there. That's how he got Earl Watson to come to Toronto, is because Earl Watson's a Rico Hines coach. And it's too bad. We're gonna see what happens. We just got to take it step by step and really lower our expectations right now. We gotta find victories in plays being well run, seeing like offense run smooth, seeing guys like do the right things for a few possessions up and down the court. We're getting a good section of time where we do really well on defense, maybe, or we have a smooth offense that looks better and better as we go on. These are the things we need to look at for victories right now when we're at this point in our franchise. It's not necessarily about the collective W, because we may not get there every time. We may not have enough juice to get to the W like we have in the last couple games, but it may be more of just like the building blocks and the smaller things that happen throughout the game. We just want to look better and get better all around. And I think the offense is the part that I really want to see the biggest improvement. Sure, we could get better at defense as far as like doing it more consistently the whole throughout the game. But our offenses look so horrible that I just want to see great strides or in that area. Like tonight, if we could, Milwaukee's a pretty good defensive team. If we could try and operate and get some good offense going against a good defensive team like this tonight, that could really help us in our confidence. And that's the thing. We need to build confidence. And we can build it against a tough team like this. Like if we get some good things going against Milwaukee, that'll build confidence, especially with the younger players who, Scotty's never played against the Bucks. He's going to get to play the NBA champions tonight. That's a big deal. Kelly, good morning. Callie, I'm glad to see you. I believe we need to come out of the gate aggressively. Yes, I love that. Attack the paint, put them in foul trouble early. Otherwise, Giannis will kill us. By the way, love my show. Thank you, Callie. I really appreciate that. I think you're exactly right. I think with every game so far recently, it's the team who comes out aggressive right at the beginning of the game, and they jump out to like a double-digit lead in the first quarter that does really well and ends up winning the game. And Memphis was able to do that to us. Boston did that to us pretty good in the last two games. So if we can come out and smack them in the face, just like you're talking about, get a good little run, some good defense right from the start. And yeah, foul trouble on some of their key guys would be great. I love that recipe that you just put right there, and it definitely would help us to possibly win the game tonight. So I'm all for it. We'll definitely have to see the beginning of the game, see how the Raptors start. Hopefully they can get into their offense easy and start making shots right away and not have any in this stagnation right at the beginning where the other team builds like a 12-point lead and we don't have any points yet. That would be really bad. But that's possible that happens tonight too. I really hope it doesn't, because honestly, I love what you're saying there, Callie. I really do. Alistair, Pascal isn't a problem, but we're letting our bench struggle without giving them shit for it. Nobody is being held accountable other than Boucher. Yeah, I mean, but Banton in some ways is also, because his numbers have shrunk in the last few games. If you notice, he's not getting as many minutes as he was before Yuta came back. So they're getting a little bit like finally Nick Nurse benched Fee in the second half for not making his shots consistently in the last game, because he's been giving Fee a lot of benefit of the doubt because he really likes him as a player and he wants to keep him going. But he's starting to realize that maybe this guy is not, I'm using him too much, or maybe I'm putting too much on him. But yeah, I think that it's true that there's enough responsibility for the problems that we have right now to go around with everybody. And it's just that we kind of have like a natural proclivity to go after Pascal because of the last few years. And he's the figurehead. He's the big money guy and different things like that. But there's a lot of different guys on this team that could be doing different things better. And maybe that's what I want to look at today, is just like really pay attention to who's kind of, fucking up, or who's kind of like not doing what they're supposed to be doing out there, and paying attention to that, because some guys are doing a really good job and they're doing all the things they're supposed to do. And some guys are not. And I hate to say it, sometimes it's Scotty. Scotty sometimes is not where he's supposed to be on defense. And sometimes on offense, he's just not totally keyed in or locked in. Like, I feel like he's a little too aloof, and maybe he needs to be more aggressive and get that eye of the tiger killer instinct and say, you know what, I'm going to score for our team no matter what. And he does that from time to time. I've seen it, so I want to see more of it. That's what I'm saying. I want to see Scotty have more of a killer instinct, eye of the tiger, and say, I'm going to take you guys on my back, and I'm going to score like the next 10 points for the team real quick, because he has the capability to do this. And, that's the thing. We got to hold everybody accountable. And, even the coach and the management too. The management too, just because you got to give them the right building blocks to play with. And if we don't have any size, we don't have any centers, we're not going to win any rebounding. We're not going to win any defense down low, and we're going to get ate up because the new NBA is down low again all of a sudden. It's really crazy. Okay, yeah, let's talk about the game last night with the Suns and the Warriors. Suns were last in the West in 2018. They developed their picks and added a vet. Now look at them. We have Barnes, Delano, and even Gary and Precious at 22. We have a talented young group. Yeah, Chris Paul was that ingredient that just kind of put them over the top with respectability and that kind of stuff. And yeah, the Suns look great. Devin Booker got hurt. That's the other injury I didn't talk about yet. He's hurt now for like a couple weeks. That's going to hurt the Suns for sure. But that's just how it's going this year. And I love that they won that game last night, and now their records are really even. It's crazy that Phoenix and Golden State are doing so well right now. But good kudos to them. And you know what? That path that they took that you're describing, G, if we can figure out a way to do that similarly, it may not be a point guard that we're adding like Chris Paul. It may be a big guy of some sort. Yeah, I think that you're right, that it may be that we're in that middling time like the Suns were for a couple of years with Devin Booker and the talent around him. And now with Chris Paul, boom, it's just blossomed and bloomed. And, we'll see. This is my expectations for this year have gone all over the place, obviously, because at the beginning of the year, I was like, we are a dark horse to win the championship possibly, which I thought if everything had gone right, that could have happened. And, when it's still in some ways, and my crazy mind is, I figure we could still figure it out and maybe get it right by the end of the season to make a run for the championship. But, that may take a big trade. And when I mean big trade, I mean getting a big. I don't know. But yeah, it's all over the place. Now at this point, I'm just like, you know what? Let's just try and win games. Let's just try and win games and see where we're at the end of the season. And if we're in the playoffs, we're in the playoffs. If we're not, we're not. That's that. Alistair, Scotty Barnes has to be put in check by the veterans. It's a free-for-all in Toronto. Our rookies get to do whatever with no authority. Yeah, you couple of Nick Nurses like, hey, guys, I want you guys to do whatever you want on the court, learn your game, stuff like that. And then, I feel like Fred is really trying hard. Like, he keeps talking about the immaturity that's being shown by some of our rookies right now. And, he's basically saying probably Scotty. And it's not that he's, immature in the wrong ways. Like, I don't think he takes away from the team. I think it's just an immaturity with how serious he's taken life in some ways. Like, Fred keeps talking about how he learned to be a pro from Kyle Lowry, and is how early you have to get to work and what you have to do to work outside of things and stuff like that. And whether it's preparing your body, making sure you get the right rest, eating the right things. There's so much work inside your life outside of the NBA to make you ready to be the best player in the NBA. And it may be partly that. I know that yesterday on Instagram, Scotty was asking us where the best vintage stores are in Toronto. I told him to go to Kensington Market and go to Exile Vintage across from Rastapasta. And hopefully maybe he went to Kensington Market yesterday and stuff like that. But, he wants to have fun. He wants to explore the city. He gets off time and stuff like that. But there is a certain thing about being a pro that he has to realize and understand. And I don't think turning and talking trash to Steven Adams is being a pro. I don't think that like some of the things that he does on the court is pro-like. It's more amateurish. And he needs to clean that up and just be a pro. Just be out there, kill them with your play. Don't do it with what you say. Kill them with your play. Because you're a badass. You can make a statement in all kinds of different ways with how you play more than like, talking trash and different stuff like that. Because we don't need to give people fire. We have no clout. We can't talk trash right now. We have to earn our respect back again. We lost all of our respect in the league now at this point in the last week or so. I feel like we've lost all our respect in the league. And, teams are going to look at it as a pushover, as a bottom feeding team, and somebody that they can beat easy. And to a degree, they're right. But we need to change that quick. We need to start turning that around quick. Show them that we're still a dangerous snake. If you get us in the corner, we'll bite you. And, it's tough. I hate this. I hate this kind of stuff, being in this kind of place. I want the Raptors to be respected. And they're not going to be respected right now, not in our current state. So they need to build respect. And Scotty could be a big part of that. He needs to get them to fear him. He needs them to build respect for him and his offensive game. And that's where we can start. That's where we can start getting respect back. So let's see. Kenrick, the team is built to run. I like to see them do that. Can't always walk into half-court sets and have Fred or OG or GTJ shoot late in the clock. We're not a good half-court team right now. Our strength really is in transition, getting a good rebound and running, or blocking a shot or a steal, running and getting transition baskets. Because when we get set in set offense, we don't have our shit worked out together between players, and our plays aren't always very clear. We don't know where our spacing is. Like, one of the things that I saw in one of the games recently that I really loved was Yuta doing his little cuts and running through. He did a really smart one a couple times where he would cut near Pascal when he was trying to isolate on one side, and he would actually draw the guy away. And then all of a sudden, Pascal didn't have a double on him, and he could make a shot really easy. See, that's the thing. These guys can't just sit back and watch Pascal try and get a shot on the side. They can move and help him. If you move through the lane a certain way, like Yuta did in that play, it'll draw the second guy who's kind of hovering on Pascal over to Yuta to guard him. And then Pascal just has to beat one guy. And there's no guy behind him trying to strip the ball. So these are the kind of things we could do to help Pascal and do better things. We can't have these guys standing around, dribbling at the top of the key, letting the time run out, and then all of a sudden trying to force a shot within the last 5 seconds of the shot clock. I hate that. You guys should be running a play, moving the ball around. That's where I think that Nick Nurse is being lazy. Is like, yeah, sure, you can let your guys just do whatever they want on the court, but call a play and get them running in motion where all 5 guys are involved, instead of just trying to set up isolation Fred against the big, beat him off the dribble and try and lay it in. That's such a bad high percentage shot to me, because half the time Fred's going to get blocked, or he's going to get hit and not getting it foul, and he's just going to miss the shot. So I really want them to work more around to get the good shots, because that's when our offense looks best. When we get at least 2 or 3 passes on the possession and our guys get an actual good open shot. Now, the next thing is they got to make the open shot when they get it. So, that's what I want to see today the most, is a really competent offense that's kind of working towards better shots and not just isolation and trying to beat double teams. That's where we fail, is where Fred and Pascal or OG or Scotty or any of those guys trying to go against double teams, beating double teams. You got to pass right out of it. Okay, let's keep going. Alistair, if it wasn't for a Booker injury, Suns would have broke win streak record. Well, let's see how they do without him still. I mean, sometimes teams can keep rolling even if they lose a guy like that. Like, who knows? Maybe Chris Paul will step up, or somebody else. Ayton may be just really a monster during this time. But let's see. Let's give them a chance before we say, because their record could stay still really good. Who knows? Paul B., I have zero beef with what Scotty is doing with the dunks. He's grinding and taking it to the rim, unlike other players on the roster. Yeah, I agree with what you're saying, and to a degree. The only thing I have a problem with is that it's fundamentally bad. Like, you don't do that. Don't do that in this league. You could get away with doing that in high school, Scotty. You could get away with doing that maybe in FSU, but I'm sure Leonard Hamilton would have yelled at you for doing that too. Like Nick Nurse should have, but he didn't, which totally makes me crazy. But yeah, because what's going to happen, and this is what Alvin said when he did it, is you can't do that in the game, because the NBA is too good. They're going to catch up to you, and they're going to mess up your shot. And we need the basket. We don't need you showboating. We don't need you making a little trash talk. You need to just go straight to the basket hard and dunk it. And that's the statement enough. And that's what I have the problem with, is it's fundamentally wrong for him to take that time and collect himself and go so slow. In some ways, that's just daring the other team to catch up and fuck up his shot. And I don't like that. I think he needs to be as aggressive and fast to the basket no matter what. But I agree. There's a lot of things that Scotty are doing that we need more guys to do on the court in different ways. And I'm not bashing Scotty. I just want to make sure that he is fundamentally not getting bad habits. Like, he can't do that kind of stuff. He really can't. It's not a good habit, and it's not something he should ever do again. Really. I'm a fun guy. Hello. Let's go! Let's beat the Bucks. The Bucks stops here, baby. Kenrick, what do you think of getting someone like Taco or Bobo? I'd love to have either one of those guys. Honestly, Taco Fall is playing really well in the G League right now. And Cleveland, you got all these centers. Jesus Christ, just be nice. This is part of the wealth inequality in the U.S. and the world today. There's so much inequality. Why is there center inequality in the NBA right now? It's like we are the haves and have-nots. And some teams just have the haves, and they have a lot of centers. And meanwhile, we're one of those have-not teams that just doesn't get one center. And that's bullshit. I'm sick of this shit. Why are we shadow banned from having a center? Can we get a center, Bobby? Can you just prove to me personally that we're not shadow banned from having someone 7 foot tall on our team other than Aaron Baines? Please, man. Come on. I'm crying out for it. And Bol is amazing. I love Bol. His father was one of my favorite players of all time. I love Manute. Manute did so many incredible things. He's an incredible person. It's sad how he died. It's sad. All these different things about Manute Bol were sad. And I would love to have Bol on our team. And I'm glad that he's finally getting run for Denver and he's doing something with it. But yes, I would love to have either one of those guys right now. Oh my gosh, I would. Yeah. All right, let's keep going. Yeah, I'll skip you guys talking to each other. Okay, I feel like we could upset the Bucks because the matchup. I'm a fun guy. I know we do match up well against them, but we match up better against them if we had OG and Kem. Honestly, that's going to be a huge problem. OG does so much for us against Giannis, and I don't know how well we do against Giannis without OG. Like, OG is almost kind of a prerequisite when we play the Bucks and Giannis, and I'm scared of that. That's scary to me. Like, hopefully Pascal, if Pascal doesn't score a whole lot of points tonight, but he handles Giannis and makes him not score a whole bunch of points also tonight, would you be happy about that? Like, if Pascal only got 6 points tonight, but he did a masterful job covering Giannis Antetokounmpo for most of the game tonight, would Raptor fans be okay with this? I want to know, because that could happen tonight. Like, what if they nullify each other? Like, if they just play so hard defense on each other and neither one of them gets like a whole bunch of points? Can we handle that? Can we be okay with that, Raptor fans? Can Pascal score 6 points but shut down Antetokounmpo? Will we be happy? That's what I'm wondering. But yeah, we do match up really well with them overall in a lot of ways. They're a little bit different than they've been since we've seen them in the final or in the Eastern Conference Finals, or even like last year. They're a little bit different. They're starting Bobby Portis at center right now because Brook Lopez is out, and he's undersized a little bit at center, and that may be a good matchup for Precious. So it's going to be an interesting game. We really can't let their outside shooting get out of control on us, because that's a big way how they win, obviously, is Chris Middleton hitting the three, different guys hitting the three around them that come in and do that. So there's a tall order of things. You got to try and contain Giannis as best as you can. He's the kind of guy you let him shoot the outside, but don't let him get inside. And then everybody else on that team, you don't let shoot on the outside. You really got to get to them at the 3-point line. And once again, we got to win rebounding battles, and we got to limit second chance shots. Those are really important key things today, for sure. Yeah, Alvin Williams got on Sky for that. And I'm with Alvin, man. Alvin and I were old school, and I felt the same thing when he did that. It's just you don't do stuff like that. It's an unwritten thing. If you did that in a game with like Charles Barkley in the 80s, man, you got punked. You're getting punked. You can get put on the floor. You'll get a bruise from acting like that. And, Scotty didn't get a warning about that screen from Steven Adams. And that's partly the rest of the team's fault. That our communication between our players needs to be better on defense and offense, and talking to each other and say, screen. And then like he's not getting nailed where he's hurting his neck still hurts in the press conference after the game. You say, oh yeah, that he hit me hard. I'm still feeling it. Somebody could have yelled screen or something to save Scotty from getting beheaded in that whole thing. And then like I said, that fire he showed afterwards of just stealing the ball and going and laying it in like that, Where is that all the time? And why is it only because you got hit by this guy and he pissed you off? Well, we're getting hit in our building, Scotty, and you need to take a protective mentality over the collective, the whole team, the building, Toronto. And I want to see that kind of fire for that, not just for you, because you say you're a team first guy, you're a we guy, a win guy. Do it, show it, prove it in your actions, not just with your words. I want to see it on the court, in your word, in your athleticism, and what you're doing. And we've seen what you can do. I want to see you get steals like this all the time. You should be being the claw. You're claw too. You need to get out there and claw the ball and be running it back and jamming it on people like 2 or 3 times a game. I'd love to see that happen 2 or 3 times a game on the regular now, where you get a steal and you just dunk it, because you can do that. You can do that. You have it in you. You've got to just get more savvy as you become more and more a vet and understand the opportunities and see them and execute when you see them, because they're there. They're there. They're not just when you're motivated because you got knocked out. They're there. Let's see. I love Alvin Williams, but his sentences are always like jobbled all over the place. I know. I'm one to talk too. He's getting better and better, and I like Alvin as a player. As an announcer, he's okay. I want to hear him give more insight and more personal stories about things that he went through from when he was a Raptor too. Like, I'd love to hear him talk more about Vince and Oakley and Muggsy and JYD and people like that he got to play with in the past. Like, I'd love to hear these old-timey stories where he's saying, well, back in when I remember when we were playing with JYD and he did this, and, he had this effort where he would go all out and fall in the crowd all the time. He's like, why aren't our guys doing this? Stuff like that. I know some of the youngsters may be like, oh, turned off by that, but it's an interesting part of having an actual Raptor broadcasting the game. This is like not something we've had normally. Like, Sam Mitchell's done a bit of it, but he was a coach. But this is a guy who actually was out there playing, and he was a key guy, and he was an important guy. So I want him to bring more experience. I know his delivery is not exactly clear and concise and really, really good. But, as a guy who has problems with jumbling stuff too, I understand. Yeah, something, I think that he does try and make a point, and sometimes he's saying something and he loses track of what he's trying to say, because also he's trying to keep up with the game at the same time. It's not easy to be a color guy in some ways, because you got to pick your spots, jumping in with the play-by-play guy who's calling the game. And then you got to figure out where there might be a little bit of a period of time where there's enough of a break where you can make a little, say something, maybe something small, or do a little story without taking away from the flow of the game. It's an art, and it's a rhythm and a thing to it with you and Matt Devlin and stuff like that. So he's still working some of that stuff out. Alvin's in development too, guys. Come on. All right, let's see. Cavs made some good moves. Not going to lie. Now they have leverage. Well, the Cavs, they're a weird case as a franchise, because the NBA kind of hooked them up after LeBron took off and went to Miami, and Dan Gilbert made such a big stink about so many different things. All of a sudden, you notice that they won a couple of lotteries in a row and got first round picks after that. And that was when they got Kyrie, and different things like that happened around then. Cleveland on the down low is a team that the NBA is kind of like, I don't want to call it reparations, but it's something like, they realized the problems with LeBron coming in and out of that franchise that have caused the fan base and the different things that happened to them. So in some ways, they have on the slide kind of propped them up and try to give them a little bit of an advantage in different ways. And, they've been set up to succeed like this and to have like a good, they're weird. Like, this is the thing. All these teams that have been in development and that have been kind of bad for a couple of years, they're starting to sprout. And it seems like they're all happening at the same time in some ways. Like, whether it's like Detroit's getting better, New York's getting better all of a sudden, Atlanta's sprouted last year. All these different teams are better now. And Orlando will be one of the next ones too. That'll hopefully won't happen too soon. Actually, they're still kind of a mess. But, these teams are getting better and they're kind of sprouting to the next level. And there's a few of them all happening at the same time. Like, Washington's another one of them. These were all teams that were kind of a pushover and easier to beat a year ago. And all of a sudden they're sprouting with their defense. And it's not, the landscape's way different this year. It's really tough. I'm a fun guy. Pascal could guard Giannis well because Giannis can't blow by him like guards do. Yeah, I think Pascal needs to get a little bit of OG in his mentality today and say, I'm going to take the task of shutting down Giannis. And we need to watch this tonight. If he's having trouble on the offensive end, but he's really keeping Giannis in check, I will take that. Because hopefully Fred will step up or Gary will be back and he'll be hitting buckets and we'll find offense somehow, some way. But we need to cancel and contain Giannis as best as we can. And I really like Callie's remark earlier about trying to get them in foul trouble somehow, some way. Get some of the Bucks in foul trouble. We can get Giannis in foul trouble. That'd be fantastic. Go right at him, Pascal. Make the refs make tough decisions. They're not going to want to call fouls on Giannis, first of all, but make them have to. Because you go right at him and you make him have to foul you. We need snarly Precious. How he was in summer league needs to be mean. Think with confidence that will come. I love that. I want Precious to be more aggressive. We need an edge, like we were talking about yesterday. We need more of an edge on this team. Somebody that has an attitude. Somebody who's ready to go out and punk people. Like Dylan Brooks punked us. Precious could be kind of like that guy. He seems really mild-mannered right now, but I'd love to see him be more scrappy, more aggressive, more physical. And also, I want him to be that Oakley intimidator kind of guy down low. Like, if you're going to come to the basket and come in the paint against the Raptors, you may have to look out for Precious putting you on your ass. Like, I want that kind of thing going because we had it with Serge. Serge was really good at that kind of scariness for other teams. And Precious could do that for us right now. We need somebody like that because nobody else is going to do that. Like, I don't see Kem being that physical down low. He's going to be physical with the big guy and stuff like that, but he's not going to, maybe he does that a little bit, but that's a tough thing that we lack. We need toughness down low and somebody will put people on their asses. So Precious doesn't box out. He needs to work on that 100%. He's getting better. He's kind of a slim big guy, which is like Chris Boucher. It's kind of tough. You got to really be wide and spread your legs and make sure you've got a good anchor and stuff like that. And sometimes if you're mobile big, you're kind of keeping your legs together and kind of moving around, sliding side to side. But yeah, he needs to box out better for sure. That is a part of our problem with second chance points right now, that Precious could be better individually at boxing out and making sure to get to the rebound. Like, he's doing a good job though sometimes, like just getting the rebounds, two hands on it and getting it out there. But he could definitely improve in this area. You're exactly right. Find your man and box out. Let's keep going. Alistair, we should run a 9-man rotation. Leave out Boucher, Flynn, Svi, and 905 guys. 9-man rotation. You're meaning when we're all healthy, right? Because we don't have 9 men other than those guys right now. We need all of them. So you're saying no Banton even? Like, so what it would be? Fred, Gary, OG, Pascal, Kem, Scotty, Precious, and who else? I mean, I'm not sure. I'm not sure about a 9-man rotation sounds good. I'd like a 10-man rotation, honestly. But yeah, I don't know. I think that these guys are important. Some of them you're saying, especially Delano and Flynn. Svi's pretty important too. Boucher could be important at some point. He's getting better. I'm a fun guy. Delano was shutting down Triple J so good last game, and Nurse played him less. Nurse is frustrating sometimes. Man, how could he be shutting down Triple J? Triple J, Michael Grange was saying he walked by him on the way into the game, and they were weighing him. He weighed 265 pounds when they weighed him. That's a big man. We don't have anybody that's that size on our team. And with the mobility and the three-point shooting, that Jackson guy killed us. He's very scary. Now, if you saw Delano getting some success against him on defense, that's great. But I didn't see Delano out there long enough to see him have some success against him. But if he did, that's great. But yeah, I don't understand Nick Nurse too sometimes with like how he's rotating and taking different guys out. He has been punishing Banton on the down low a little bit like Boucher, because there are some things that he's not happy with about him. I think it's more about blowing coverages when he shouldn't or something like that. But he seems like he's rebounding really well for us and handling the ball and bringing the tempo up in the game. So I don't understand it. Nick Nurse is very mystifying to me in some ways. Flynn played more minutes. I'm wondering if some of those rotations are for trade and value purposes. All right, first of all, I want to say something about the Raptors organization in general. We're not trying to get guys' value up for trades because we're not really a trading type of team. This is just not our MO. It's just not something we do all the time. It's not something, right now, obviously, we're shopping Goran Dragic for sure. But I don't think we're shopping anybody else on our team, actually, because I think that's the kind of thing where when we go into a season, Masai and Bobby kind of look at the team and say, we're going to ride with this for the whole season and see how well we do. Unless something really disastrous happens, then we're going to give this team the chance, the whole season kind of chance. But, that could be wrong. It could be that they make a trade, but we don't normally make trades. Like, we're not a trading kind of franchise. We don't make frivolous moves here and there. We like to stick with guys and really try and get the best out of them. And I don't know. I think Flynn's playing because Flynn needs to play. You think about last year, Flynn played a lot of minutes for us last year and did a lot of different things for us. And now it's just that with the injuries and stuff like that, he's getting time right now, which is really good because we need him to develop because he can be a really good shooter for us. He could be part of what we lack off our bench if he could just get his shot to go down consistent. And when he hit that one shot near the end of the game the other night, I felt really good because oh my gosh, he hit a shot. That's going to feel good for him. And then hopefully this will turn into something. You start with a little snowball and it starts snowballing down the hill. And all of a sudden Malachi Flynn is flirting with a 25-point game night in, night out off the bench. That'd be great, honestly. Banton definitely stays. I think all these guys stay for right now. I mean, I know you guys are down on Boucher, down on different guys that maybe trade them, but with Goran not getting moved, Goran's really the one we need to move. And I still haven't figured out whether he's holding up a roster spot of ours or not. I think he is. I think technically we have to hold him on our roster just because we're paying him and all this stuff. We'd have to actually waive him or do a buyout to actually move that spot and use it for somebody else, which sucks. Because it's kind of like we lost a spot on our roster. We don't have an extra person. He just left. I'm a fun guy. Delano kept him to 0 went on him because Delano had length and speed. I could see that. Yeah, he is really a good defensive weapon because of his speed with his length. You're right. And in a way, he's better than Boucher because he's faster than Boucher. But he's still kind of got the same kind of length. And that's why I love seeing him get those closeout 3-point blocks too. Like, because he gets those also. Okay, well, I didn't see that, but if he had success against JJ, that's good. I would worry that he'd just get beat down low. Like all he would have to do is just back him down and just kind of muscle over him. Because that Jackson guy is looking nasty right now. Like the fact that he can hit the 3 and he's pretty quick for a guy his size. He's a scary player in some ways. And he's definitely one of the best players for Memphis right now. Exactly. Bannon is staying, so maybe that's why they're trying to showcase other players, just trying to rationalize some of the rotations. Banton knows how to draw a foul too. I think that Malachi and Banton are two different kinds of looks at point guard, two different kinds of players, and that they're both valuable for our team, and they both can coexist. It's the kind of thing where if Nick Nurse needs a scrappy little quick point guard off the bench, then he gets Malachi. If he needs a bigger guy with tempo, maybe not as much experience, not as much as a shooter, then he brings in Banton. It's just different looks. And those guys are a part of our point guard depth, which is good because we need depth at all positions. Center and, I don't want to trade either one of them. I think that they can coexist. I think that they all can be on the team with Fred. So why not have two different looks off the bench? Because Delano is the way he is, they can both play together. Delano can play any position, honestly, other than center maybe. He could play some small forward. He can play some power forward. He can play some shooting guard, obviously. So, and even he could play the point guard, and Malachi can play the off guard and be the shooter on the side like Fred would with him, stuff like that. So there's just a lot of good interchangeability between them. And it's not really like it's him or him choosing. It's like keep them both and develop both of them. And one of them may get more minutes one night, one may get more minutes the other night. And I guess that he just felt like giving Malachi more of a time in the last couple of days. I don't like him playing with Fred all the time either still. I don't like the double point guard, short point guard lineup still, but we've been doing it still. And part of it, I think, is because Fred's very comfortable playing in those kind of lineups. And As long as we're having some success and we're not getting totally beat because we have two short point guards out there, that's okay because it's something we've been doing for years now. It's kind of like safety and security in some ways for our team, even though I hate it. I've hated it for a couple of years. All right. I'm a fun guy. I'm done with the no center experiment. Yeah, I was done with it last year. I knew as soon as I was like, fuck, when we lost Serge and Mark within 24 hours of each other, I was like, man, that's a huge void. We're in big trouble. Who are we going to get? The season's starting in 2 days. And then we just at the last minute, we got Len and Baines. And I had high hopes for Len because I thought Len was doing really well. Baines, I wasn't too sure. I thought he was like, okay, this guy could be really scrappy and do some things, but he was awful. And Len didn't do a whole lot either. Actually, Len showed better signs of doing better than Baines, but then we didn't trust him, and he got pissed off, and he left. He didn't want to play for us anymore because he saw that a guy crappier than him, Aaron Baines, was playing ahead of him. And I really thought that we should have been playing Len more than Baines because Len was playing better than Baines. And for some reason, we just put Baines in there more. And I thought that was a mistake because if we had to keep going through the season, I would have rather had Len on our team than Baines. So it is, and then Ken Burch came and Freddie came, and I was like, yes, we got centers. And we kind of started playing better because we had kind of centers. But I think we really do need a 7-foot or a real center. Man, wouldn't it be nice if we had Jonas right now? I keep thinking about this all week. It's like, man, he would help in so many different areas. He would help with veteran leadership. He would help with our defense down low. He'd help with our rebounding. He'd just help in so many different ways. If we could figure out a Valanciunas trade right now, like if Goran Dragic could go to Dallas, and Dallas sends some really good stuff to New Orleans, and we get Jonas Valanciunas, that would be a beautiful trade. And I'd love for Masai and Bobby to work this out because Jonas coming back to Toronto right now makes so much sense. He come back, he's familiar with this team. He played with Fred before, and he played with Pascal before. So he knows our guys a bit. He'd come back as being like a real leader and be a really trusted guy and like a really good influence on our team. I'm really sure that Valanciunas would be perfect. I'd love to have him on our team right now. Okay, let's see. I would even take Reggie Perry here for a few games right now. Reggie Perry is great, honestly. There's some things about Reggie Perry that fit really good with us. And he's mobile. He plays pretty hard defense. He rebounds. He can hit the three. He looks like he could switch and do pretty good for us. He played for Brooklyn last year on their main roster a bit, so he has some NBA experience on the big time. So he's kind of turned into the best player on the 905. It's not David Johnson, and since Bonga left, it's been Perry. So I really think that is a good idea. It's bring Reggie Perry up at some point, Bobby Webster. Just bring him up now. Why not? We're so thin up front. Bring Reggie Perry up. Let's see what he can do with us. That's why Len left. Yeah, we left. He left because he saw Baines ahead of him on the roster, and he decided he didn't want to play for us anymore. So he decided, I want to leave the team. And then he went to Washington. And that's what happened. Yeah, he left the team. He wasn't happy with how we were playing him. He wasn't happy that he was not getting playing time behind Baines. And that's why he left. Yeah, it sucked because, honestly, if we had to choose between the two of them, we should have chose Len. It's it was really bad. Yeah, I'm a fun guy. I'm part of the few that think we would have still won championship with Jonas over Gasol. Yeah, well, I mean, it's possible. I think it's tough to say. It's really tough to say. I mean, if we could have won it with Jonas, that'd been fantastic too. But that's going to be tough. Reggie Perry has some edge, too, from what I've seen. Yeah, he does. He has a little bit of an enforcer mentality that could help us for sure. Okay, we're just about an hour. Milwaukee, they're the champs. We got to get up for the champs. This is nothing to lose kind of game. Everybody expects us to get blown out, to play really badly, and look awful against them tonight. But they're coming on a back-to-back. They played a lot of minutes last night. They had to play a high-scoring game against Charlotte, which wasn't easy. And, nobody expects us to do anything. So let's make some good things happen. Let's start with some little battles here and there and some success and build on it and let it snowball. And the offense is what I'm really watching right now. I mean, on defense, I trust that we can play a good defense no matter what if we really, really try. But it's the offense. I want to see the synergy. I want to see things flow a little easier and better, not so awkward, less rookie mistakes, better passing between each other. None of these over the court passes that are half-assed and they're getting picked off. None of this stuff. So we can win the game tonight. That's a huge moral victory. That's like we beat the champs, and that could be something that really helps momentum for us. But even if we just stay close with them and be competitive with them today, I'll feel real good about that. We just can't get blown out. We just can't look bad. I'm sick of looking like a bad basketball team. I want to look like a good basketball team that just isn't good enough to beat the champions, but is maybe good enough to beat the champions, because I'd like to win tonight, of course. And the Raptors have been known to rise to the occasion in these kind of games and steal games like this. So maybe it could happen today. Who knows? Maybe we get an early Christmas present. Who knows? All right, let's beat the Bucks. Where is Andrew? Let's go, Raptors! All right, let's beat the Bucks. Let's just have a good showing. Pascal versus Giannis tonight. Let's see what happens. We could play good defense on them, shut him down, get to their three-point shooters, try and get all the rebounds, no second chance shots. Let's win, baby. Let's just try and win. Stay competitive, do our best. That's all we can do.